People, Deluded, I'm back again. Now, I've literally finished all my videos this morning. I've gone on Sky Sports News. As you know, you just want to know what's going on with football. And I don't know if you lot can see this, but I've come across Mustafi's been speaking in relation to Arteta. So I thought I'd go through it. He has said, his Mustafi says, Professor Arteta unites Arsenal squad. And I mean, he has united it. Before I get into it, one thing I like about Arteta, whether it goes right or wrong, one thing that I believe, you know what, if it doesn't go right, you know, we'll speak about it. If he looks like he's not the man for this, we'll speak about it. Right now he does. I think he's been afforded, I think I'll afford him extra more time than I would give Emery. Purely because, you know, I'm going to be fair to Emery. Emery is hard to follow. The first manager was always going to have it tough that left, that came in after Wenger. The man's been there 20 years. There was a lot said, and I'm not using it to praise Wenger or belittle Emery. A lot was said in like, oh, it's easy to get Arsenal back on track. All you do is boom, 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 boom. And that's clearly not the case. Our problems run a lot deeper than many people probably comprehended. You know, I think Emery, because of the fact that he was such a breath of fresh air, and some people so frustrated with Wenger, people just condoned any crap he was doing. And I remember getting a lot of stick for it. Not to say I feel sorry for myself. I gave the man a 5 out of 10 at whatever period it was when I went on that AFT interview and people got on me. I said goals and turning around the games and our unbeaten run is clouding for how we're actually playing, because we're actually not playing well. We're turning it around in the second half, which some games, you know, you have to do that. You know it's going to be good. But if you're doing that all the time, if you're always having to change things at half time, are you set up in the best way? Is your manager setting you up in the best way? So it was a difficult act in it. Obviously, Emery had 2 chances of getting Champions League and he failed. I think the players have to take responsibility for that final as well. I'm not going to lie to you. Emery too, for doing some dumb stuff. But also we messed it more so. We should have been in the Champions League, and the Europa should have just been a disappointment, because, you know, we shot ourselves in the foot in that last run-in. Obviously, Arteta's coming where expectations are really at zero now. People, there's no optimism with Arsenal fans. Most logical Arsenal fans, they're not expecting nothing. So that's been beneficial to Arteta. But I think what I like with Arteta, everything I called for, which Emery was not showing, I see it. I said Arteta needs to be able to coach some players that we would have written off. For me, it sounds stupid now, but Mustafi would be with the 23s, force his hand to leave the club. Again, it's a myth that we don't know if he's going to be able to do this a year from now, but he's pulled Mustafi back and found some use for him. He's got Luis playing consistently. He's obviously quieting down the things with Xhaka. He's, you know, I'm not going to list everybody, but the young players, he's good with them. He seems to really want to persist with Pepe. He seems to have a project in Nelson, you know. He seems to be good with all the players. He's managed Ozil well. His man management is superb. His chemistry and identifying that the players, you know, how you might speak with one player is different. And he's had to be firm at times, you know. You've heard Guendouzi's been the victim of that. He's gone through it and he's there. He's there now. You've heard Ceballos has had to show more. He's reacted. Maitland-Niles is not playing because of what Arteta has said about his training. Arteta's been firm but fair. And the thing I love the most about Arteta is, obviously, it will probably be brought up when the inevitable happens, because he will go through tough periods as a manager. He will make mistakes, but the fact that he is a relative novice hasn't been highlighted, and you only get that from having conviction in your ideas, from being transparent with your ideas. Ultimately, I'm not saying Arteta never, Wenger, no one else had this, or Emery or whoever never had this, but I think Arteta has a lot of integrity. For me, transparency and integrity is what I like. And I do think he says white and black, as currently saying clearly, but from what he's trying to coach and identify the areas to improve, it is as white and black as saying, if you bring him a centre-half, you know, if he's got Mustafi playing like this, give him a decent centre-half, what do you think he could do? Give him a decent midfielder, what do you think he could do? I'm not saying he's going to turn us into winners, but he says, you're seeing a coach who's working with the tools he's got, give him some better tools sort of thing. And you know, I'm not going to lie, Mustafi specifically, I saw you say this sort of stuff under Emery, and I saw a lot of the players say this under Emery. I want to see the same energy when we go through tough moments and stuff like that. But he said, he's like Mustafi now, he's like a little professor. He knows exactly where he wants the players to be. It's very special. When I pass, I'm usually only focused on where to be if we lose the ball. But he wants me to contribute offensively too, so we can consistently make an option for the guy on the ball. And for someone like Mustafi, that's encouraging, because that gives, you know, he's giving you faith. You know, mentally, he's giving you... Listen, big up Mustafi for turning himself around, because he's dealt with a lot. But Arteta's giving him the faith and the confidence to do that. Obviously, you describe Mustafi as a ball-playing centre-half. Whether he does that well or not is for you to say. But he can ball-play. So he's giving him the confidence to step out from that. You know, Mustafi makes a lot of mistakes. He could have hidden in a bubble. He doesn't want to bring out the ball from the back and play, Arsenal play a higher defensive line. He's imploring him to do that, and that's exciting for Luiz and Mustafi to want to learn and be a part of. And you've got to keep players interested. He clearly isn't an innovative man. He's got people buying into what he wants to do. Especially, I like how the outlook of how we defend is there. I think I speak for most honest Arsenal fans when you say, obviously you want the team to completely do a 180, 360, whatever. I barely pass much, I don't know. You want us to be Champions League winners and all these things. But I think what most fans wanted to see transparency. Arteta is saying this is how we're trying to play, and he's actually seeing it. And for me, you wanted to see some consistency, which we're seeing vaguely. And for me, mainly, you wanted to see improvement. Like, you could see Arteta's first game, all right, cool, we're pressing, we're out of gas, we're not there yet. United game, all right, we see what we're on. And game by game, you're seeing a little bits and pieces as to moving in the right direction. I think that's what fans wanted to see at base level, people. And he said, yeah, man, so when we constantly make an option for the player on the ball, so we constantly need to make an option for the player on the ball. When you are 28 and you play in different countries with other coaches, you think you know everything. But when he came in, there are some things I've never known before. And that's what you want to hear, because, it's sad, but that's how football works. How many of you have played Sunday League and you've had a coach where you might not have anything against him necessarily, but you don't think he's innovative, so you're just doing the bare minimum, or if you're not doing the bare minimum, you don't really believe in him, so subconsciously you've capped your potential, where the world is your oyster now. Because I remember when playing under who I describe as the Black Pep Guardiola, Darren, who played for my old team, he opened my eyes. I didn't want to be a right back. He really opened my eyes to playing right back and football. So I was almost seduced with the training sessions, enticed. What are we doing now? How does that improve? I think Darren should have been a professional coach. He made me start thinking about the mental side of the game, seeing the game tactically like I've never seen it before, seeing it like chess versus checkers. Do you get it? Made me start thinking about nutrition. So if you're thinking this at 28, or you're thinking this with Arteta, you're gonna try more. You're gonna look forward to training more. You're gonna have a better connection with your manager and want to fight more for him and stuff. Because man management is arguably, all the things I've praised Arteta from throughout the course of this vid, arguably all of that's irrelevant when you consider man management. Man management, I believe, is the single most important thing, because you've seen previous managers that were more of an iron fist, more of an old school. They're not having the best of success now, because player power is at an all-time high. He was then asked. He was asked about his teammate Mesut Ozil as well. Allegedly, he said, sometimes we don't realise what a different job it is. From 25 players, maybe 20 agree with the coach, and 5 still think we should play something different. Since Mikel has come in, he has 25 players on board, and this is not easy to achieve. Everybody understands, and everything he says makes sense. There's nothing we can complain about. Everyone has benefited, even Mesut. He's never going to throw Ozil under a bus. That's his guy, even if Ozil didn't. And I think Ozil does right for him. He says, it was a shock in the beginning. No one knew much about it. He's speaking in relation to the coronavirus. Now, he said, you don't want him to be in bad health, but after all these things happened, we were in contact over Zoom. It's crazy. And he was spoken in relation to the German league returning. He said, and that's an interesting fact. And yeah, because he left Germany quite young. Mustafi's never played in the Bundesliga. Surely that's something with a year left on his deal he wants to consider. He said, there's so much talk and opinions on this, but I'm just looking forward to playing. Germany has done very well with the situation. That's why they start playing. But it's very difficult to explain what I think. I don't know the difference between Germany and England. Some think it's good, some don't. For me, the main thing is we have to think of safety. And Mustafi, you're 100% correct in all of that, in everything he said. You really can't disagree with what he has said, people, really and truly. I've said it before. Apparently, Calum Chambers he said his recovery is progressing smoothly, but he hasn't set any time scale on when he wants to return. He said the surgery went well, and in terms of recovery, I'm just cracking on with what I can do at home. I'm lucky enough to have some gym equipment here, so I've been working on my strength in my leg, my strength in my knee and my quad. It's all about building up the strength in the quad to then hopefully progress onto more stuff. It's just been about adapting to the situation we're finding ourselves in and finding things I can do at home to keep myself going. The guys have been great, and on FaceTime and Zoom every other day. They spend 3 hours at a time on FaceTime talking and walking me through each session. So credit to them. Without them, it would have been a real struggle. So they've been really good for me. We've been trying to stick to morning rehab. So on Sundays at the moment, I have double sessions where I'll do stuff in the morning and afternoon. It's all about keeping a routine and keeping the momentum going. To be honest, not putting pardon me. To be honest, not putting a time frame on a comeback is one of the first things I said when I started my rehab. I don't want to put a time scale or anything. I want to make sure it's right, take my time, and make sure I do it properly. In my head, I haven't put a date on it, but put a time scale on it. It's just doing everything you can in the moment to get the best out of the situation. Hopefully, it just builds and progresses from there. I'm trying to get through the phases and different blocks as I can, and it's all about. And that's what you like, people, because you can't. Listen, the physical wounds heal. It's the mental ones. You put a time scale on it, and if if you're progressing 1 week more than you had, and you're setting back next week's other, it's gonna harm you, people. And I think. It's never going to... I've said this in a previous video, but it's never going to... I'm not saying this is a benefit, this corona thing. But I do think one benefit of Chambers now, obviously he's isolated at home, but it can work as a motivation when you're still doing your rehab, you're still in and around the training ground, but you're not training and coaching. And I think someone like Chambers should feel hard done by. He's been a bit part player at Arsenal, a squad player. 1 minute he gets a chance, then he's not. Finally getting a chance in general, was one of our best players under Arteta. I think Arteta would have utilised him a bit more. He's hurt himself. I don't think Arteta's going to forget him, but considering Holding's progress and Bellerin, they're not fully fit. You don't know the scale of when he would actually return. And you run the risk of being out of sight, out of mind, because his absence, Mustafi has grabbed it with both hands and has got an opportunity. Whether he stays for another year and sees out his contract's another thing. But he's grabbed it. Luiz has been playing well. Socrates actually lost his place unfairly because other people playing well. You've obviously got Emery coming in now and Saliba next year. This is a dangerous one. You've got Holding in around the team. So a decision will have to be made. And like I was going to say, I won't go as far as to say it's a benefit for him, but it can be a good motivator when you're in the gym and you're looking through the see-through glass and you're seeing Arteta do the tactics and the players train and maybe even other players progress with their injuries. It can be a motivator, but it can become depressing. I don't think he's jealous. I don't think he's envious. I don't think he's any of this. But we're human. These things go through your mind as you're not there. You're thinking, what have I got to do to get back? It's never going to happen for me. This can all have a negative effect. So kind of through the season being done and players not training and things and stuff like that, probably afforded a bit of time. Like Torreira's had to sit out for a while, to be fair with you. Even Harry Kane at Spurs, it's a bit irrelevant. So it's good that he's not put a time scale on things, because again, being fit and being ruled as fit, and sorry people for shaking the screen, being ruled as fit is two different things, because technically Holding and Bellerin are fit. Are they clearly at the best of their powers right now? Clearly not. And that's one thing. I know Holding's moved out of Chambers' place now and they're not with each other, but his good friend and his close guy, I'd probably class them two as brothers, really, because they're always together allegedly. He's got Holding who's been through it, so he could probably lean on him for advice, as he potentially has already. Hector Bellerin as well, another teammate, and there's probably a whole other players. And obviously Arsenal have significant staff, whether it be medical and fitness, to talking through why he's made progress, or actually specifically change psychological people to help him. We wish Chambers all the best, people, really and truly. There isn't much more you can say on that, man. We wish him the best. So it is what it is. On that note, though, I'm gonna get out of here, people. I would say though, it is sad that we was unbeaten in 2020, and while we're only 9th in the table, we only lost 1 of 13 games at a period, people, before football was halted. So we really had some form of sorts. I don't think we'd get top 4, but I'm just in a ponderous mood. But yeah, man, I want to go get some brekkie, I want to freshen up and things. It's time to get out of here. People, DG, God bless, I'm out.